Greetings and welcome to Gunjur Online TV. Once again, we are back, to discuss the current Gambian affairs that are things that are happening around the country, and not only Gambia but the sub-region. We are also going to extend our tentacles to discuss some of the issues, because the issues that affect our neighbors is going to affect us in the Gambia. We are not an island by ourselves. We are all interrelated one way or the other in the sub-region. Once again, greetings to you. I'm happy that we are back online after a hiccup. We are here and discussing things that matter. Hopefully, we are going to clean some points there to educate ourselves, to refresh ourselves, and to share knowledge so that we can understand the dynamics of some of the things that are happening in our country and the surrounding sub-region. Once again, we have our brother who is so energetic all the time. He is available to come and discuss issues, to do a post-mortem on all the issues that are happening in our sub-region. He kind of understands them a lot, and he is helping people both on paper and discussing issues online. It's no other of our brothers than Sulayman Ben Suwareh. Welcome to Gunjur Online, brother Ben Suwareh.
Good evening, Ebrima. Thank you very much for having me again. After a short while, travel to the Gambia, coming back, and resettling back in the UK. But it's glad to have you again and on Gunyo Online, and hopefully we'll have a good program and some more programs to come during the Ramadan or just after the Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you, brother Ben. I'm just going to greet our viewers all over the world, to tell them Ramadan Mubarak. We are just, slowly sleepwalking into the time of Ramadan. Hopefully tomorrow or Thursday, we will start Ramadan, and hopefully, we will go through it and come out in peace and be rewarded by, what we went there for. That's keeping fast. And then extending our greetings to all of you, and I'm saying happy Ramadan to all of you. Brother Ben, I know this is a Gambian platform most of the time, but Gambia is not an island by itself. We are affected by issues that are surrounding us all the time, and there's no other place that is so close to us that any activities affects us in that country than Senegal. And we've seen now the pending of democracy in that country. And you capture this, you say President Sal's ambition and the destabilization of African nations. How do you think, and why do you think, you came out with this headline, and what impact, will the issues happening in Senegal will have a destabilization effects on the whole of African nation? You can elaborate on that, bro.
Thank you very much, Ebrima, for this very important point to note. As some Gambians do say, why are Gambians, putting interest into Senegalese politics or Senegalese affairs. But as you rightly say, there's no country that's an island. We are all interdependent, especially those that are closer to you. And there's no closer nation to us than Senegal. And what the relationship we have in Senegal, hardly any other country have that sort of relationship with their neighboring country. And you can look at it at the wider context that if something happened in Senegal, I mean, it will affect us, be it crime, be it an epidemic, be it, something progressive, economic progress, or anything, it will have impact on the Gambia. Then, if there's a challenging political environment in Senegal, I think Gambians should sit up and observe and, in fact, take part in that discourse in order to be alert on what is coming to us. And again, it's not only that because we are neighbors, but we all know today our security is underwritten by Senegal. We might say economic, but we know that backbone of that economic presence in the Gambia is by Senegal. And we have seen in our history of the Gambia, from independence, Gambia was considered whether to integrate or not. But apart from that, we have seen 1981, when an intervention was needed, Senegal was the country that intervened. And during the course of the dictatorship, we have seen the importance of having Senegal on our side. And eventually, when we needed economic to come in, and yes, it was through our efforts, but with the strategic partnership with Senegal, that we had the operations smoothly and getting economic on time for that intervention. Now, and today, our economy, not only our security, we talked about our security with economic, but our economy is totally bound with Senegal. We are Gambians, we might not realize this, but we are importing oil now from Senegal. We are not having direct imports anymore, or if that is happening, is very few. Most of our imports, what we consume for generators, for our cars, for our industries, is coming from Senegal. The stability of that country would matter. Again, the percentage of energy that we are buying from Senegal is huge. NAWEC is now depending probably 30% of their energy source from Senegal. We all heard about the two agreements they had. The first agreement they had for the provinces, and the second agreement they had less than 12 months ago that will be coming to the OMVG projects to get to the urban areas. I mean, that's another thing we need to think about. And air travel and every other thing we do in the Gambia have something to do with Senegal and Senegalese territory. And we have a percentage, a huge percentage of Senegalese citizens in the Gambia. I mean, which their Senegalese ambassador himself said it's almost tune of 500,000. That's a huge chunk of our nation. And if anything, God forbid, would happen in Senegal, would come to us. But let's think of it this way as well. Alaji, few months, just about a year ago, when we take example for good governance, we used to refer to Senegal as a shining example of uninterrupted democracy. Not only Gambia doing that, but other African countries were doing that. Saying, oh, Senegal have mature democracy, they have a vibrant civil society, their oppositions are proactive, their economy is growing, and so on. We looked up to them and them serving as our role models. Now, if that role model is corrupted, are you not to worry? And again, the influence Senegal have, not only in the Gambia, but in the sub-region. Technically, Senegal is part of the guarantors of security in Guinea-Bissau today. Now, if the destabilization of Senegal happens, then Gambia and Guinea-Bissau are likely two countries to be destabilized first. But again, we have seen the insurgence of resurrections of these coup d'etats from the military in West Africa again, be it Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea-Conakry. What do you think if the most mature democracy in Africa have derailed and that serving president have overthrown their constitution and to become an authoritarian government? That would encourage the military governments in these countries to be more hardened, not to transfer power to civilian rule, but in fact to have more, to be encouraged to become a continuous military authoritarian rule. And again, even those countries that are in the brink to recovering from the past history of dictatorship or military rule might easily slide back. This is starting from Sierra Leone, Libya and others. They might think of if Senegal, a mature democracy, can go in. Macky Sall was seen as the poster boy of democracy in Africa. If they can draw back to, going into a third term, why can't we try it? And then don't discount Nigeria. Then don't discount Ghana and other progressive nations. Because it's already happened in Ivory Coast. It already happened in Rwanda. And this second term is an important cornerstone in our democracy. If Gambians or listeners would just think about this, when President Abdou Diouf introduced the second term mandate in these things, many countries followed. And those countries that followed, with the second, taking a 2 terms limit for their presidency, their democracy improved. Yes, with a lot of unaccounted activities happening, but at least they were not interrupted by military rule. But Guinea-Conakry, and the best example is Guinea-Conakry, within 2 years of breaking, Lansana Conte hijacking the constitution, what happened? The military overthrew him. Then there's an evidence to support that the stability of Senegal, the democratic the dispensation of Senegal have to be respected by the president of Senegal, and that's an interest to Gambia and sub-Saharan Africa for that matter. And finally, to keep note is, Gambians should remember that Senegal is serving as a buffer zone. For what? The insurgency that is coming from Islamic militancy from Ivory Coast, Chad, and all Chad Lake District, all the way to Mali. And I'll tell you one thing: insurgents really operate well where there's destabilization. We have seen the case when Libya, was interrupted. It came into Mali and other countries. And if Senegal's security today is compromised, don't give it a short period, you will hear issues happening there, and that means they will be at the border of the Gambia, because Gambia is within Senegal itself. Then it is to the interest of Gambians to have, it is to the interest of Gambia, to look to the interest, to the affairs of what happened in Senegal, especially their politics.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Ben, for that perfect analysis. Really, we are neighbors, but anywhere in Africa, the war in Ukraine is affecting us in the Gambia. Yeah. The war in Ukraine is affecting all over in Africa, where it is very far from, and starvation and food shortages, the prices are soaring and hearing. Moreover, if we have Senegal, and we will have to regenerate the destabilization in Casamas, the rebellions, and all those things, everything will come up, Brother Ben. But with the strong institutions, comparing it to African countries, with the vibrant civil society associations, the institutions we thought in Senegal are strong. And why do you think it's happening? Why are they allowing Macky Sall? I know he went through the process of buying some people, giving them positions. I thought, the whole issue of position is Gambian thing, where people will take off their clothes because they are going to be given a position. Yes. Go ahead.
That's a very important view to raise. You see, Ebrima, that's why there's no thing like a good governance. A good governance is a government that is put at check, that is all accountable. Let's remember, if Donald Trump can successfully turn America to what America became.
Brother Ben, just 1 minute. I think the technician, our boss Lamin
Yeah.
Janneh, will take note because there are people in Facebook who are saying, they can't say the program. I don't know why that is anyway.
Okay.
I saw a Facebook user, but somebody said Facebook user Paumas Bojan I can't say it either. So hopefully our technician will take note and see what is happening there. Yes, go ahead, Brother Ben, go ahead.
Okay. I hope. Okay. What I'm saying is, that's a very important point to note. If can Lamin tell us, they can hear us before we move on.
Yeah, I think they can hear us. It's just that they are finding it difficult to share the program, So I don't know why that is anyway. So
Okay. Yeah. Ebrima, let's remember that it was America that it was possible to have someone like Donald Trump. And technically, we have seen how it ended up. Donald Trump technically turning America to a banana republic, where he was technically refusing to step down from power. You see, accountability, the vigilance of citizens and institutions must be in order to maintain your good governance. And in Senegal, and as you said, it's because of Senegal have these institutions. That's why even Macky Sall is still not completely successful. He's still dragging, and you can see the amount of pressure and violence that he is employing in order to have what he wants. But again, he started with corruption. Macky Sall had a strategy, and this strategy started with what? Tampering with the constitution. And when he went for these constitutional reforms, the civil society politicians did ask the right questions. And Macky Sall himself reassured during the campaign, he reassured the citizens to say that this is, and the constitutional amendment was this. Let me explain for some what people might not know. Senegal had a 7-year term, 2 terms of 7 years. Then Macky Sall decided, just listen to this, decided to say that he was to limit the 7-year term to a 5-year term. The constitutional amendment was not to get rid of the 2 terms. It was to limit it from 7 to 5. But even the constitutional court said the one you already serving have to be 7, because you are already sworn in to serve a 7-year term. The following one can be reduced through that referendum that they went through. Because why did Senegalese really were concerned? Because Abdoulaye Wade used the same strategy, very similar strategy, where he made amendments to the constitution, and those amendments he had to rely on those amendments to discount his first term in government. Senegals were very aware of that. Macky Sall came out and defended to say that he was not to serve if he is re-elected. That would be his last term. Not only that, Macky Sall wrote a book promoting the constitutional reforms and saying, and the progressiveness of it is nothing to do 2 terms. It's a 2 terms consecutively. And I read part of the Senegalese constitution interpreted in English for viewers. Just a minute, I've got it somewhere here. And which is written very clearly. Very clearly, it says, the duration of the mandate of the president of the republic is of 5 years. No one may exercise more than 2 consecutive mandates. Clear in the constitution.
Definitely.
And Macky Sall and his then justice minister made this clarification. It's on records. That was not enough. Macky knew how to get out of this. Macky went and tampered with the justice administrators, started to take out all these credible judges and put in judges that have professional background. You see, the institutions, if are not protected, and it was through this process that he eliminated two of his most strong rivals, Karim Wada and Halifa Saleh. And through that process, Macky Sall went and appoint a very inexperienced interior minister, young, ambitious. The reason is knowing that a young, very ambitious, inexperienced interior minister would do anything that you want in order to serve your interest, but not the national interest. Because the role of the interior minister is huge. What next? Macky Sall started to tamper with the police, tamper with the army, and tamper with the gendarme, but mainly with the gendarme and the army. This was the reason the General Tin resigned about over 6 months ago, before end of his term. He resigned because he didn't allow to be dictated in order to be used, or his the military, the gendarmerie to be used in order to victimize Sonko. He resigned from his post, and Macky Sall went and appointed again as General called General Fall, who have a very constructional background, a lack of integrity in order to head, and he was not the most senior person to man the gendarmerie. You see, he went systematically doing this, but not without resistance. The pastef and civil society organizations have written petitions. They have protested, and you can see, the amount of protest in the streets of Senegal. They have, in fact, taken legal actions, and guess what? The courts would not hear those legal actions against the government. They select what to hear and what not to hear. And if Senegal did not have the opposition they have, especially pastef, that have the support of the youths. If Senegal did not have the vibrant civil society they have, teachers are on strikes. Some students came out on strike. If Senegal did not have the intelligentsia they have, they have sophisticated, intelligent, intellectuals that will stand out and speak out, that will write about issues about the government. And this is what is holding Macky Sall back a bit. But we can see that Macky have been forced. Up till today, Macky did not come clearly to say that I am going to run. Do you know why? Because he's still not certain, or still did not control the entire narrative. That's why he's struggling to control the narrative. That's why he's still edging on. But for him just to, in fact, put Senegal to suspend, I will run or I would not have shown the person he is. If Macky Sall can go against, Senegalese should ask, or Gambians should ask, or any intelligent person should ask, why did Macky went on to reduce the constitution from 7 to 5? If he was genuine, if he had left the constitution as it is, his 2 terms would have been 14 years, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that will almost cover his 3 terms when it is 5.
Yes. Then the point is here. Macky Sall is not only doing this for a 3rd term. Remember, Rwanda did the same thing. Use the constitutional courts, and today, Rwanda, nobody can tell you when the president is going to leave. Ivory Coast is going through the same process. And Senegal want to go through the same process, that Macky Sall would turn around. If he passes this post, crosses this line, Senegal would turn to an authoritarian rule, and this concept of let's keep the peace would be. But again, this is something Gambian and Senegalese and Africa for the matter should really watch out, because of if Macky Sall gets away with this, means that he will have to go oval of dead bodies. But not only that, the fledgling democracy in Senegal will be completely washed away, and that influence would have a negative impact into the sub-region.
Thank you, Brother Ben. Greetings to all our viewers all over the world. And Sid Kadi Bayo here and Mamadou Ndour Sabali. All of them are watching and contributing to the program. As we always said, please let's share this program so that it can reach to wide range of our people, our viewers, because the whole purpose of in having people like Suleiman Ben Suwareh is, sharing knowledge with us so that we can understand, because the level of ignorance, that breeds selfishness into us, and that selfishness is against our own self, because, the retrogressions and the encroachment of democracy and the justice and rule of law, in our countries is affecting all of us. Institutions are collapsing. When institutions collapse, you have the predators, and the junglers, either economical, they come and just prey on people. That's why our people are suffering. This is not made by God. It is made by our leaders that are presiding over us. So it is important for us to understand, the general picture of what is happening and where we are heading, so that, we can challenge. Even if temporarily, if you think temporarily the status quo is going to benefit you, unless and until it benefits everybody, you are not safe. So these are some of the things we want to create dialogue over, so that we can all understand. There's no room for selfishness here. We either all go together as one, or we all perish as one, as a country. So this is what is important, or as a continent. The denigration all over the world is so baffling sometimes, to the extent that the youths are, littering all over the place, the suffering, the death, and it's just unimaginable, just because of our leaders. So it is, Brother Ben, but if you juxtapose side by side the Ivorian case and Senegalese case, it worked for Ivory Coast. Ouattara did the same thing. Can we kind of, this is how, I'm not sure, this is a theory, whether we do have the hidden hand of Senegal, sorry, the France, the colonial masters, here, because, and we know how important Ivory Coast is to France. We know how important Senegal is to France, and Senegal is losing territories now. Is it kind of, because we had Macky Sall's interview in France, and kind of saying he's going to, he's not allegedly, he's going to go for the third term. So do you think this will work for Senegal? Because it worked for Ivory Coast, and
Thank
we
you.
know we have French influence there, and we know the blueprint of
Thank
France
you
is
very much,
all
Ibrahim.
over.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. I want to touch on this influence of France first. As you rightly noted, did Gambian people just realize that Macky Sall did not come out to address the Senegalese people, but he went to give an interview, not to a Senegalese newspaper, to a French newspaper, because he is communicating to France. Do you know why? Because France have done the French have done evaluated the situation, and the French have seen that they have lost territory in West Africa, and they have seen the Pan-African movement and the youth, for that matter, energized onto this position of opposing French interests in West Africa, and especially in Senegal as well. During the demonstration, do you know what happened? Senegal had to deploy forces to protect French interests. But they don't deploy it to protect any other country's interests, but for the French. And recently, French, after doing their evaluation, seeing the popularity of Sonko and the positive, for the opposition to win the local government elections, for the opposition to technically win the parliamentary elections, it has never happened in Senegal for the governing party and the opposition to go neck and neck in parliament. It has indication that if the elections were to held free and fair, it's very likely that Sonko can even win first round of the elections. Now, France started, an interview was given to Sonko by a French journal, which was widely viewed. And a lot of opinionated journalists started to visit Senegal to talk to Famen, or to follow the movement. You see, the day before they had the fracas with Sonko, the day Sonko was arrested to the courts, that meeting, you have seen the amount of Western journalists attending the meetings. It has never happened. And Macky Sall now is jittered that France might try to work behind the scenes in order to, to strike a balance that will guarantee that their working interest, because of, I call it a working interest with Sonko. And Macky Sall to have seen that Pastef might have, softened their position in order to, to win over the French in this case. And the French are over there to their interest. If Macky Sall become the obstacle, the French will work with the Senegalese in order to allow the democratic dispensation. But the reason it was easy in Ivory Coast, it's two things here. First, Ivory Coast did not have the independent institutions that Senegal have. Ivory Coast did not have an armed forces that is professional, that was independent. Ivory Coast came out from a civil war, and the majority of the forces, the senior commanders and the most strategic positions are held by people from the northern part of Ivory Coast. Who are most likely to be Muslims. And these are the background and the supporters of Ouattara. These were people that served in the militia that fought with Ouattara in order to win over Laurent Gbagbo forces. The police is the same thing. But again, Ivory Coast did not have the political class that is existing in Senegal here now. Ivory Coast did not have the professional journalists. Ivory Coast did not have the activists. Ivory Coast did not have the same sort of opposition, that is present in Senegal. It's easier for Ivory Coast to do this. But there's another point here. That's where people are questioning, in fact, the faculties of Macky Sall. Ivory Coast delivered a strategy. And Macky Sall is failing to use a strategy that can even make it possible. Instead, he's just using his power in order to gain what he wants. And what I'm calling out here is people who follow this Ivorian process. What did make Ivorians to believe that he was retired? He was too old. He in fact came from a hospital bed. But he made them believe. He appointed a prime minister who looks like he was going to succeed him. And behind the scenes, he let that prime minister take the face of the party. And people believed in that Ouattara was going to hand over power. To the last minute, what happened? Mysteriously, the prime minister died. I'm not saying, and people that do the observation are not technically saying it, but are alluding to foul play might happen there. That the prime minister might have been set up. Now to put him as a stood in a sense, or a stalking horse, in order to win overconfidence and influence the voters and the people. To that last minute, the party came around and said, look, we cannot go to elections without a candidate, and Ouattara would be our candidate. And it was too late for a little bit of resistance that would have come out from civil society, too late for a little bit of resistance that would have come from the opposition. And as you said, with the support of France, the international community was mute. And we all know that this AU is toothless. We all know ECOWAS is toothless until you get your issues to a level that they cannot look the other way. Just as right now, we don't hear ECOWAS, we don't hear the AU. Even Senegal, this government have ignored rulings against the Senegalese government. Senegalese have ignored rulings from ECOWAS against the Senegalese government, and you still don't hear anything that comes from ECOWAS. This is the two different parallels you have in Ivory Coast and in Senegal.
Ben, thank you so much. I think our viewers on Facebook, our technician has confirmed that the technical problem is not from our side. It is Facebook's problem. I think some people are having it because I shared mine and I didn't have any problem. But those who are experiencing some problem, know that it's not from our side. It's either your side or Facebook's side. Brother Ben and this is serious, as we said, because on the 16th, I think the desperation of Macky Sall, and obsession of him, concerned when it comes to Sonko, because the alleged rape charges and all those things tumbled, it fall apart, because there's nothing there. But on the 16th of March, Sonko, the passive leader, he appeared before Dakar, a court in Dakar, for defamation charges, But this is told to an individual, which who is Mam Bainjai.
Yeah.
So why is government so obsessed? If somebody takes somebody as to court for defamations and all those things, why is that taken over by the whole machinery of government to the extent that people are losing their life, and all those things. And why Sonko, and why Macky Sall is so afraid of this young man. But and the other side, because Macky Sall himself came at the back of resistance movement, and some of the resistance movement, they played a very, very, very important for Macky Sall to be where he is. But all credit to Sonko, and I think it's good to have such opposition that will put their life at risk, and they will have the support of the youth, because Sonko didn't have that much money to dish out to people and all those things. But still, what did he do so well to garner all this support, especially from the youth, and resist no matter what? Resist no matter, because he knows he can die at any time. But resistance sometimes pays off, and nobody is going to give you democracy on a silver platter. If dictators want to emerge, we have to stand up and fight them, because dictators don't want to be pushed back. So, if people are saying, let's leave it to God, let's don't want demonstration, it's going to bring instability and all those things, nothing comes. Even our own independence didn't come free. Somebody somewhere need to resist some of the things that are happening, because, Macky Sall is destroying the Senegalese established their liberal democratic government, which is sophisticated enough. We have elites and intelligentsias and all these institutions, but still he want to gradually taking control of things, bribing people. And then you mentioned the younger people there, and this reminds me of Gambian situation. If younger people can be so ambitious like this, and they will do the bidding of dictators at all costs, then sometimes you wonder, can we replace our elderly people to these young people? Because this interior minister, he just wants his own name, he just wants to grandize himself and all those things. Go ahead.
And I mean, let's come. I like this base of the questions. It's loaded, but I'll take it on as it came. First is, let's look at this case, second case now. The Ajis case, when it first happened, people, because of its allegations of rape, it's a criminal offense, and it's rape, and the power dynamics, people were empathetic and very cautious. And in fact, some people supported the process because that's the right thing to do. But when people even listen to the narrative of what the lady have said, and as much as the lady was exposed to the press, everything fell through. First is that Sonko came to rape me many times and came with 2 guns. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, the next minute, the same girl came and said, oh, even in the process, I'm proven to be pregnant. After 12 months, no pregnancy. But not only that, and as it went on, how the plot happened, whatever transpired was put out there. Now, even the interest that the government took in this case was a suspect, because they wanted Sonko out. They have looked into the background of Sonko. They have tried everything. They have labeled him a terrorist, been a Salafist. They have labeled him a Kasama's separatist. They have labeled him everything. And I tell you, I know that they have looked into, many backgrounds to try to frame him. They could not frame him. Yes, Sonko, as human he is, he did one mistake, and they want to capitalize on that mistake, visiting a Masai Palo in order to finish him. But because of their intentions, if they just had exposed what had happened, Sonko might have been damaged from there on. But they went to crack a nut using a hammer. over-exaggerated everything that happened. And now doubt came out of it. This case cannot proceed. They did not, with all everything they tried, it's very difficult for them to sell. Guess what? In November, Sonko said on a platform, accused a minister of corruption. November. By January, the case was already in process of the courts. It's a civil suit. It's a libelous case. People that knows the Senegalese judiciary, they said this sort of cases would take even over 2 years before it gets mentioned in a court of law. Why is the government so interested? What does it have to do with the government? Nothing, absolutely. But they want to use this in order to penalize Sonko and stop Sonko from becoming candidate. They process this within January, the case is already in process. And not only that, during the process of the trials, Sonko went to the first proceedings. They want to, they try to find a shortcut. You know, the English legal proceedings is more direct. Senegalese French legal proceeding is so combusted. It's very difficult to navigate. They wanted to look for a swift way of dealing with this case in order to get him out before time. The judges and everything was selected, and none of these judges have credibility. And this becomes another case, just as this case. But another laughable stock is here. Libel cannot happen here. The present prime minister was the finance minister who said on a platform that the report is existence, and whatever that this person was accused of was in existence. They asking Sonko to produce the proof. And you know what happened? If Sonko produces the evidence, you know what's going to happen? He's going to be charged for obtaining documents. Just as what they charged Pam Alinya.
Yeah.
You see? Now, if Sonko produces the evidence, what the evidence is, or they know the evidence is there. The prime minister now, who was finance minister, said that, yes, they conducted an inquiry and it was damning against this minister. Not only that, another citizen wrote a book based on that report, on the allegations that Sonko have said. How can that be libel? Not only that, another now who's turned out to be government PR this thing, what's his name again? I keep on forgetting his name. He too made the same statement. Many people made the same statement. How can Sonko cause a libel? Why are these other people being not taken to court? It's a farce. Now, let's come to the resistance. You know, some critics who say why Sonko don't go and answer to the courts. Sonko was going to answer to the courts.
Yes, he was.
And again, if Sonko chooses to say that I'm not going to answer to the libel case, that's nothing to do with the government. Even the court will not summons him. What the court, because it's not a criminal matter, the court will proceed and give a verdict, and the verdict the court will likely give is against Sonko. Then Sonko would be penalized based on what the judge have said. One, Sonko doesn't have this thing, but Sonko was going to the this thing. Nothing to do with the government. But again, the same thing. And you see what have happened that day. They did the rehearsal. I said someone, when they picked up Sonko from that car, break his car and pick him up and take it to his home, I said, this is a rehearsal. They will do something like this. When they want to pick him up, this is what they do. They have tested it, it worked. Then Sonko was going again. And remember, Sonko is under attack, not from the security forces alone. There's a militia. In the videos, it's evident. There's militia working with the security forces against Sonko. Now, would Sonko not protect himself the best he can?
Yeah.
Sonko knows that if he did not resist, it would be easier for them to deal with him. And that resistance then became legitimate in order to protect himself and his political movement. And this is not about Sonko, it's a political movement. Thousands and thousands of Senegalese have come out to show their support to Pastef. Now, Sonko was going to the courts and look at the amount of soldiers. I mean, amount of military, paramilitary and police officers and militias, I mean, presence in the thing. Why would Sonko not bring out his support? This is the reason for the resistance. And Senegal is, I mean, people have to remember, Karim Wade did not apply any other strategy to defend himself. What happened? He was picked up like a chicken. Halifa Sallah did not apply any form of resistance. He was picked up like a chicken. The reason Sonko is still free is because of Sonko is applying the right political strategy. This is both illegal and a political. He's applying the right strategy on the politics, and he's applying the right strategy and having the right representations in the courts. Now,
and Brother Ben, because there's no court that restricts Sonko into his compound and all the. Why is the military, the paramilitary, the militia stopping him, guiding his door, and all those watching his movements and all those, refusing him to even come out of his compound? Being guided and all the. When there's no court, not at all. You will be thinking this is happening in Pol Pot, not in Senegal, the so-called bastion of democracy.
Even that, there's no reason, and there's no legal basis. I mean, for the security forces to surround his. This is not his compound, his estate. To stop disturbing the neighbors, and everything. That's not right. Stopping people visiting him, and everything. That's not right.
Definitely.
This is not in a democracy. But not only that. Now, you're talking about Sonko. Why did Sonko achieve this? You see, Sonko, as Pastef, have brought out a leadership that have never happened in Africa. I'll give you an example. Many African revolutionaries we talked about, they have something different from Sonko. Do you know why? Patrick Lumumba, any other person you call of, I mean, Jomo Kenyatta, Nkrumah, they all came from influential backgrounds. They come from majority tribes. They come from influential backgrounds. And the Sankaras came from the army, and they came through a coup d'etat. These people represented, I'm not reducing their things, I'm just giving the facts about Sonko. Sonko came from a minority tribe from a region which is kind of under turmoil. Yes, he have links in other side of Senegal, but that's what they first tried to use against him. But because of he applied the right political strategy, and to his own credit, he built himself. You see, when people, it's just like when Obama came out, people thought Obama was an accident. No, Obama worked on himself.
Yeah.
If anyone want to understand Obama, it didn't happen in a vacuum. If you read his first book, Dreams of My Father, you read the second book, Audacity of Hope. These two would just tell you how Obama became the person he is, which is very important to know. And Sonko too looked at, if you studied him well, you know that he have a program to transform himself, and he went through the transformation. And that's why today you have a lot of people coming out to talk about the background he came from. From his Islamic scholarship, from the university scholarship, from the time he spent at the customs department of the person he is. And he went into politics from that background. But again, the political strategy is to use disaffected youths and to build a broad-based movement, Sonko did not, as many politicians will do, run to their region. Or I am from Badibu. My base will be Badibu. And if Badibu happen to be a Mandinka base, then and you become a Mandinka and you build your base from Badibu, they said your party is tribalist. I am a Futanka. I went to Fuladu and Jimara or somewhere else permanent in Fulas and build a base from there on and identify from there what happened. I'm a politician backed by my tribe. If I am from Foni, happen to be a Jola, and build this thing. I mean, this thing. What did he do? He went to the capital itself and the capitals of Senegal, Saint Louis, and universities, young technocrats, young citizens, and formed them based on their passion, their energy, their zeal. When Sonko started, they said they were laughing. People were laughing. Sonko did a transformation. There's no Senegalese politician that ever tried that. He did. Most of the opposition leaders came from establishment. They have never succeeded the way Sonko succeeded. He started from the grassroots to build a grassroots with message that was clear. He gave them hope. If you hear Senegalese, when they talk about Sonko, what do they say? It's a project. It's a project. Because he went and he uttered a book, the solution. He said, this is our solution. Now it's about policy. It's not about his identity as a Jola. It's not his identity as a Muslim. It's not his identity from different part of Senegal. It's a solution that he presented, a book to say this is the solution, transformation of Senegal. And the message became very clear. Sonko is very pragmatic in a sense. He did not go and borrow from somewhere else. He took what is in Senegal. He did not bother about communism. He did not go bother about any other system. He just said that in Senegal here, just as our founding fathers had, we had great people from Serigne Touba to others who have revolutionized, who have resisted the imperialists, who have fight for what they believe, who have transformed themselves and transformed this thing. And this is the model we're going to use. We have the resources. Sonko made them believe that they have the resources. He called out resources that Senegal have never heard of. The Zinco, the ozones, and every other resources they have. He called them out, we have these resources. And he said that our taxes, and he put the numbers out to say that this is our taxes. And if we even collect the taxes, this is much we should be collecting. And from these taxes, we don't need to slave out to anybody out there. We don't need some of these loans to do our projects, to do our development. But we have to fight that corruption. We have to fight that nepotism. He described the problems of Senegal very clearly and gave them solution and gave the youths hope. And once he won over the youths, what followed next? Women came on board. Yes, part of the youths are women, but women groups started to gravitate towards Sonko. Then you have, all the middle section intellectuals started to come around this idea, which energized the struggle to the extent of getting into a very difficult sect to get in. Is this, what do you call them, Nongo Dara or Talibe Dara or so on, those people that came from these tarihas, different tarihas, because from the first, from the beginning, they tried to alienate him, calling him anti-tariha, be a Salafist and whatever it is, but he fought all over that. And the message was clear. He kept to his narrative and explained everything they're throwing against me is only one thing, is because I'm coming to expose them and coming to transform this country. This is why they're against me. It's not about anything they said. All that is false. This is where he started to have contraction. And what happened is 12 to 15% at the elections first time round. You have Bachili, you have many other candidates that have run elections in Senegal before. These were professors from universities, people from very, very prominent backgrounds, but they have never even hit 5% of the votes. Sonko came with 12 to 15%. But interesting enough is the elections in the diaspora. First time round, Macky Sall has almost 15 of seats. Sonko took 12. If Sonko can win over the diaspora, it's because of his sophistication. If Pastef can win over the diaspora because of their message, it's not because of what they give to the diaspora. And with that diaspora support came the resources that they needed. But that has been proven. Pastef don't give out money. And we all know this politics of Africa is labeled that if you don't have money, you cannot succeed in politics. It's contrary for positive. They are running their programs, they are running their activities, they are fully funded without any proof. They first started to accuse them that they are funded by Salafist groups, they are funded by oil exploration companies, all find out to be lies. Because Senegalese government have done extensive investigations. Because if they have evidence of anything like that, then the party would have gone out. It's proven that it's Senegalese themselves in the Senegal and outside Senegal. And recently we have seen the evidence in videos where Sonko would go in public. People would take out cash to give to the party. People would take out condiments, to give out to the party, onions, whatever it is. And traders in markets, be it any market in Senegal, will come together, put their collections together, and give out to the party. And they did a fundraising. 330 million CFR was given within 24 hours. That's a transformation, because people believed in him, people believe in the party, people believe in the movement, because he gave them hope, because he have exposed this government for the corruption they have. And he have explained the economic model that would satisfy the average Senegalese. And what I mean by this, I know many Gambians, some Senegalese, but many Gambians would point to the infrastructure development in Dakar, the infrastructure development in certain regions in Senegal. But the realities of this, which I find out, I suspected, I knew about certain things in the Gambia, but I went to the Gambia to find out myself, and I had the evidence. I suspected certain things. I went to Senegal. I traveled over 800 kilometers within Senegal. I went to different regions that are strategic in the development of Senegal, in order to understand these problems. But in Dakar itself, where you have seen most of the transformation, the suffering today is worse than it have ever been. That's not development. Most of the projects, as articulated by the opposition, especially positive, is oriented in what? Advancing the colonial masters in investment than Senegal. I give you example of the train service, the trains. The train goes nowhere. The area that the train runs, already there's capacity enough to run that. The train will never be profitable for Senegal. It's proven. Remember, Senegal used to have a train services that run from one point to Mali. Reviving the train service would have been far better. These are the things that Pasteur are telling Senegalese. And Senegalese remembered when those train lines run. They run through regions. That agriculture, empowers movement of goods, services, productivity, work, creating jobs, and so on and so on. But what they have today is a French company benefiting, and they expose the financial decisions. They expose the amount of debt taken by Eurobonds. This Macky Sall coming to Europe and just taking loans to build big buildings and bridges that goes nowhere. Whilst
Ben, I'm going to interpose there. Very soon we are going to go to another program, another topic anyway. But what you've said, I think African leaders, not even dictators, the moderate and all those things, the so-called Democrats, if they are there in the first place, they all play. They insult our intelligence. They question us and give us white elephant projects that cannot go anywhere. Those are shocking because, for example, in the Gambia, if you don't have a dialysis machine, why are you celebrating all these fancy programs and all those things when myriad of people are dying? But even our educated people will celebrate if we saw the roads and all those things. So Macky Sall, in essence, understand this very well. And the colonial masters understand this, since they are divided into these, a small elephant, white elephant project. Everybody will clap so that and say that is development. But at any time, any leader that goes and another one comes, we take two steps backward. In the case of our Gambia, those big white elephant infrastructural projects that Yaya Jammeh initiated, some of them are costing us even more today. So you just wonder, why can't we invest more on institutional buildings and how those institutions are going to be managed into the future than just a big project. Look at the Kairaba International Conference Center,
But-
which is another white elephant project
and
costing
exactly,
Gambia
I
a
mean,
lot.
just to explain to you, I mean, like the stadium in Senegal and the Rasoulin Stadium, the Disney Stadium, it's not even in use. It can never be economically viable. You see, there were other priorities that create jobs and do other things. Most of the time, it's empty, nothing happening, and it's costing a lot to maintain. And another thing is, look at these oceans of Senegal. Now, you see, when they talk about Senegalese fishermen are very active. They've been doing now. The fish stock is depleted and everything else. What they do now is trading people. They are the one taking people in their small boats to Europe and so on. And just show you the failure of the economic model. And what Sonko did, what Pastef did is, in every sector, they explained how this can be transformed. They talked about renegotiating their contracts with mining companies, contracts in anything that exists in Senegal, and explained when it's renegotiated what is going to be replacing what they have now. This is what convinced the general public. That's why he won over. They tried tribalism. They tried everything on him. It did not stick. Now they are using the force of the law in order and the injustice system in order to stop him. And let me say this before I finish. I have detected, and I've discussed this, and many people have agreed. There are two classes of people against Sonko. Let me say three. One, the elites who are corrupt, knowing that a transformation in Senegal would affect perceptions in Gambia, would affect Gambia, or would make Gambians wake up, or other African countries wake up to see the possibilities. That if a young person can start a grassroots movement in order to challenge the government, then that's an example for other African countries. One. And what Pastef have selling, and if other African youths and parties brought this up, governments will have problems. And these thieves, if Pastef come into government and exercise what they have preached, that was another example that these thieves would not want. The second people are other intellectuals who are ashamed that they have not done something a younger intellectual have done. They don't want to give him credit because of their selfishness, that all they do is look for a job that will give them what they can survive with, and they disregard their other responsibility, that is to work to impact society, to advance the society. And in fact, to take part in political process and other, they will not do that. They leave the politics with people who have less or who know less, and end up taking power and putting us in what we are. That's another class. The third class, I can tell you, is tribalism. I can tell you tribalism. I have seen it on Gambian mediums, that you look at most people when they go against Sonko and look at their background, look at their history, background properly, look at their write-ups properly, they are tribalists. And in Senegal, it's the same thing. Where you have people against Sonko is this three, they belong to the three sections. But some people are apprehensive of Sonko, thinking, oh, he might not be experienced, or they might be too radical, which is fair comment. But even people that use some of this thing, or he's violent, that violence is a lie. He's not violent. He have never called up for taking over State House, but he have called up to defend yourself. And Macky Sall went through this. And this thing needed to be clear. Not only Macky Sall. Do people know that even Senghor was attempted to be killed? Senghor. And did people know that, in fact, Senghor created a constitutional coup in order to become the prime minister, first prime minister, second prime minister? Do they know that during Abdou Diouf time, there used to be riots as similar to this, to the extent of election invigilator was assassinated? That year, it was so tense. Do they know how many times WADA have took the streets and protest, as much as possible? To almost a whole year, the University of Dakar did not function because of many lecturers were arrested for that matter, supporting his party. Do they know? I mean, some of this thing is not now seen on social media. Macky Sall himself came at the back of a resistance movement. Y'en a marre was part of the resistance movement that took up, I mean, against the third term of Abdoulaye Wade and against the coronation of Abdoulaye Wade's son to become the next leader. Without Y'en a marre, without civil society, without the support of other opposition taking the streets and fighting, and 15 people died. 15 people died in order for it to be possible for Abdou Diouf to become president. For Macky Sall to become president. Now, Macky Sall have used similar statement or most aggressive statements is on records. And these people saying that Sonko is violent is absolute bias, because they had these people. I know they have had this same similar statement or more serious statements uttered by Macky Sall. We have seen evidence where Mustafa Niasse and others have taken stones. Nobody have ever seen Sonko hold a stone to go to a protest. Mustafa Niasse and other senior opposition leaders have took stones to go to a protest. It's because of prejudice as well.
Yeah, Ben, it's good you educate us with all this, because we have to know the so-called democracy that we were celebrating in Senegal came at the back of a Protestant movement, and where 15 people died. When the youth want to demonstrate in the Gambia, we say they're bringing fitting or here and there. But Brother Ben, we're going to leave it there and move to another topic anyway. It's good we give this analysis to this problem.
Very important, very important.
This affects us directly, because I think, there's even a link. We have our central bank governor who came out telling us that the weak Gambian dalasi is as a result of our port's inability to compete with Port of Dakar due to long waiting time, high cost associated with clearing containers, high demerit charges, and well. You talk about this, and so that's the correlation. The fuel that's coming, the electricity coming from the
Senegal, almost everything. And now most of our cement is coming from Dakar.
Yes.
Now our petrol is coming from Dakar. Do you know the amount of vegetables coming from Senegal? Regardless of our women, I would say our women, which is mostly vegetable gardeners are women, and private companies are cultivating the same things, and because of this, government have not created that conducive environment to sell. Baka women gardeners the other day were crying out. They need people to come and buy. But they are, it's getting cheaper even to import from Senegal from Yemen. You see, the incentive that are needed have not even been given. Then if we depend on Senegal for almost everything, why Senegal would not matter to us?
It should be matters to us, and injustice anywhere is a threat to peace anywhere, and Brother Ben, and so far, Fatoumata Jabi, I say he said nepotism, corruption are the main problem with African leaders. But corruption, let's come home. And
before we come home on corruption, one thing I left out: this Macky Sall government became the most corrupt government in Africa. Macky Sall's wife, there's this seven members of his family, they all became billionaires within this period, and they all come from very, very humble homes. Macky Sall's brother, who is a minister now, his daughter just had a how many million dollars business operating after university from a civil servant. It just shows you.
Yes, brother. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. That's fine. And brother, what we are talking about now is we saw our president came out having a discussion with
you having a problem there?
Yeah, and that's no. We saw the president had an interview with Marek Jones,
Mhm.
which Malik John wasn't critical at all because at
Mhm.
least he should ask president, but it kind of lampoon the National Audit Office in
Mhm.
essence, the report that they are biased and all those things. But this is not the first time, if Gambians can remember. But before going that, I have greetings to our viewers. I saw my one wife, Maria Majuara, here, and Muhammad Fai, greetings to you, and of course, Fatima Jabi and all the viewers, please let's share this program and this because here we are sharing ideas and knowledge, and I'm sure that we can exchange and enhance our own understandings about issues, so that sometimes the selfishness that goes around is killing us as a people, and you all know as I know all the problems that we are encountering. Most of these things are our leaders, and we are here not to just criticize leaders, but to hold them accountable so that they can perform for the benefit of us and them. Because look at what happened to Yaya Jammeh today, and what happened to all the African leaders scattered all over the place. Then, in England, when I newly came, I found Tony Blair here. Tony Blair is here, David Gordon Brown is here, David Cameron is here, Tracy May is here, John Major are here. All of these people are here, and these African leaders and their families, the extended families, and all what they amass end up, being they lose it because they are either in exile or they are in prison and all those things. So it is good, for us to educate each other so that leaders can know, it is not into their interest, to misrule their country, especially to bring dictatorship and go against your own people, eating yourself up, in essence. So this is very, very important. That's why we are here to discuss the current affairs, and if there's anybody that give himself selflessly to the Gambians, to research, to use his own resources, to come and share ideas with people, that is Suleiman Ben Suwareh. And this is not today. He's been doing this years and years and years and years. Those who are following him, on Facebook page, even the time of Yaya Jammeh, when we were doing the struggles online, Ben was here, he was traveling, he was giving his opinion so that we can understand because, and it is high time for us to try and understand so that, we can stop our women dying needlessly into because of maternity issues in the country, lack of resources, lack of hospitals, that give medicines, and then people are dying in large number because of there's no dialysis machine, people's breast cancer, those who are, affected with breast cancer are dying because there's no mammogram in the country. And you can go on and on and on and on and on. This is not by design, as we say, this is God and all those things. This is, our leaders, because the corruptions that are happening, we saw the audit report. Yes, Ben, so the president was kind of, lampooning, the NAO, that's National Audit Office, especially Mr. Karamba Ture, whom I know very, very, very well. But this is not the first time, but this is first time in our history where you have a bunch of ministers. They assembled at the Kairaba International Conference Center to defend a private contractor
Mhm.
against the National Audit Office.
Mhm.
Karamba Ture and his people are there, and you have the ministers and all those things, and the private contractor wasn't even there.
No.
And they were kind of, denigrated in essence, if you want, basically attacking the integrity of the National Audit Office. And that private contractor wasn't even there at all. Ministers and high-ranking officials, they even brought the GRA, the managing director, Yankuba Dabo, to
Mhm.
come and lie
Mhm.
and say the contractor paid his taxes
Mhm.
in connection to the Banyan project. I say, but this is contrary to what the National Audit Office said. The security report also went. The National Audit Office report is clear, just like what Malagan says and all those things. But the question I want to ask you, Ben, why is the president why is the president going against the National Audit Office, the institution that is constitutionally created? You know, Why? Can you please share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, will
What do
do.
you think the president is doing? Go ahead.
You know, it's very interesting. Do you know why the contractor did not come?
No.
No, because he was not to be held responsible.
Ah,
He signed a contract with the government. The government allowed the contract. The people that signed the contract or allowed the contract should be held responsible. That's why all the ministers come in to defend it. And who is that person? It's the president himself.
hmm.
And the same thing happened with the security port
Yes.
because it's the president's office that signs, makes sure the contract went on. Every stakeholder was against the contract. Then this obviously this is the reason why the president comes out in order playing to be dumb. I tell Gambians, we have to be careful. Barrow is not dumb as we think. He is dumb in a sense that he doesn't understand the consequences of the crime he commits. Because why did I say that? You commit a crime that is killing your tourist industry completely because of the crime you committed. And if your tourist industry goes, that means your economy will suffer. Economy suffer, people will come against you. You might try to be stealing elections, but I'll tell you, before elections, people might suffer enough and not to wait for elections even for you to steal. Or people will come overwhelmingly that even if you steal the election, still you suffer, and lose an election. One. Two, the second most important, crucial sector that is giving you that revenue, that GDP you count, is the transit trade. The transit trade that was designed as the backbone of the country, that will import, use our ports, use our policies to bring importations, but most of the importations will be going to Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, to God knows. You killing that because of you kill the port, because of the theft, the mismanagement of the port. People ask themselves, why did President Barrow appoint Jobate? Jobate, because of Jobate, does the same thing for Yaya Jammeh, he appoints Jobate. Just as Yankuba Dabo does the same thing for Yaya Jammeh, he appoints Yankuba Dabo. He appoints Mamour Njai because he does the same thing for Yaya Jammeh. He appoints Alaji Sise because he does the same thing for Yaya Jammeh. These are the people he brought in. And that port, because of this mismanagement, we see lives of Gambians at risk now. Every other day, we see the lives of Gambians at risk in the ferry. Not only at risk, we have seen the evidence of a Gambian dying in an ambulance that cannot, be crossed in order for the person to have the help needed. Because of what the corruption that the president have, spearheaded. Gambians, again, I keep on saying this. The president went into a deal with the same contractor, Hadim Guy, that he gave the Banyu project to run a private port. Gambians should know that it's part of what is affecting our ports. Money is taken away from our ports. A dry dock, a land that was given to Hadim Guy during the Ajame time in order to use as a depot to construct the Bond Road. Hadim Guy went and applied to this government to be given that land. Not only that land, to extend the land, and that land encroach at the land is by the Denton Bridge. By the Bond Road. That land now encroach even to the mangroves. Guess what? To be built as a dry port to compete with the Ports Authority. No, Port Authority is forced from the president's directive to give contract to Hadim Guy. Why? Why give government land to Hadim Guy? Why allow Hadim Guy to operate a private port? Now, that private port operating, what is happening here? Now, the Ports Authority is giving Hadim Guy contract and paying euros. God, I forgot the figure. A month. How many euros? Thousands of euros a month to Hadim Guy. Because of President Barrow have a share of that euros. Now, this is affecting the ports. Why can't we report that? Why can't we follow that? That's why the president will be against any form of accountability. He will only choose where he can victimize someone else. Secondly, Gum Petroleum crisis. You know, when I talked about the Gum Petroleum, when I started the Gum Petroleum, vindicated. When the president went around May 2021, April 2021 to visit the Gum Petroleum, I said he was there to make a deal. Guess what now? Gum Petroleum is bankrupt. Their tanks are empty. And next minute, the friend of the presidents are going to come and buy over Gum Petroleum. They are in the process. Again, the president, just as what Janneh is doing, take over government assets, take over Gambian businesses and own it. That's what is again. That's why he is against an audit report. Let's go. Gum Petroleum is not audited. It's not on the audit reports. But let's look at the other things. The timber trade.
Yeah.
The timber trade that is criminal. Because we all know that timber is coming from Casamance. It's not from the Gambia. This is criminal. Barrow government have sold 5 times more timber than Yaya Jammeh have sold. And guess what? The person that people in the timber trade are all affiliated to Barrow, and the person who was contracted to taking payments is a friend of Barrow. And I think the same person, in fact, is connected to the Star TV or Star FM, or one of his relatives are. It's a corruption. Obviously, Barrow would not be happy for that audit report. The Banyan Port Road and Drainage Project, just as the ex-Auditor General said, it's a cash cow. We don't know when it's going to stop.
No.
And guess what? It was okayed by Barrow even before the contract. I mean, they started the contract even before a contract was signed, which is even illegal. Now, everything in that contract did not happen. It was not funded by the contractor. Why not break the contract? It's funded by taxpayers' money. And do you know it was going to be worst? Because the contract was even numerated in dollars. Gambia was going to pay in dollars until IMF intervened. Do you know the numeration? Why they numerate in dollars? So that they can easily sip the money out. Because it's stolen money. They're talking about CFA beating us because of most of the dollars now is converted into CFA and exported to Senegal. That's how they buy their properties. Go and find out in the agencies. They'll tell you Gambians are buying properties by cash. This is the theft we are going through. That's why the government, Barrow would not be happy about this. The security report, how did the security report come to the Gambia? Just as narrated. Now, the security report, they came to the Gambia 2014. Yaya Jammeh said no. The minute the elections passed, 2017, they went to Dakar when Barrow was in Dakar. They appointed Barrow there. They 2017 came back in the Gambia. It didn't happen. But it happened that security report succeeded in Sierra Leone. And the first lady of Sierra Leone and some Gambians went through Fatou Cissé, who is a so-called goodwill ambassador, who is an executive member of the NPP, who is a board member of Gamtel, who was a board member of Gamtel, I'm not sure whether it's still there, who was a board member of NAWEC. You see how they steal money? Fatou Cissé brought in security report through his brother, Ebrima Cissé, permanent secretary, and through Barrow. And the Barrow gave a directive. The stakeholders of tourism, they all said, no, it's not a good idea. It's going to affect tourism. Ahmad Ba, my nemesis, Ahmad Ba said, no, it's not good for us. The legal department, the Attorney General, Justice Department, who advises government, so don't sign that contract. In fact, don't sign a long contract. They went against that. Under the Minister of Finance, Mamboure, again, people know I don't support him. Under the Minister of Finance, there's a unit that look into government partnerships. They went against the contract. There's no single entity, no single stakeholder that supported this contract. But guess what? Executive order from the president to Ebrima Cissé to sign that contract. And you know the contract clause and everything that they highlighted, just as Mulligan did. Mulligan, exactly what National Audit Office came out, Maligan even came out with more. Because Maligan got the respondents from these people. Now, the president gave an executive order for something like that. Why? Why will you not ask what's the president's interest? This is not the national interest. We have a penalty posed on us because of the project did not start in time. 168 million, something like that. No, now they said they're going to extend the contract to 15 years because of that. They extended the contract 15 years, and guess what? They still got paid 168 million.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, if Gambians did not hear that and have an outrage, you know why Senegal is still progressing? Because they would have an outrage. You don't
yeah, but in reference to that, Yama was asking, how can we stop this? But Gambian can stop this because Gambians need to be willing. Gambians need to be willing to die, to protect their country, But if left to Adama Barrow and the cartel, or left to Yaya Jammeh and the economic cartels and the economic junglers, sometimes you call them, nothing will change. It's going to be even worse, So it is only Gambians that can say, when we see people here, people will change themselves and barricade roads here, and then in this
because
country,
something they believe in.
People
it's something they believe.
Exactly. But we think, Jibril is going to come out and do these things to Gambia.
And guess this, they get this money. And now what we find out after 1 year or two, they fell out. Now, Fat Sise, who brought the contract, was being paid $10,000 a month. Now, if Fat Sise, who brought the contract, was having $10,000 a month, how much is the president having a month?
Definitely.
1, 2. Now they take Fat Sise out. Do you know why?
No.
Because of the person they brought in is Fatim Baji, the former minister of Janneh. Fatim Baji, who happened to be in a relationship with the representative of the company, Scattred. Fatim Baji, remember, he fell out with the First Lady and resigned from the First Lady Foundation when $35 million were paid in. Fatim Baji is back at this thing, his good relationship with the First Lady now. Now that Fatim Baji is receiving allegedly $20,000 a month.
Wow.
Allegedly $20,000 a month. Guess what? Ebrima Cisse, that brought in the contract, was taken out of State House and chucked to China. Fatih Cisse taken out of that deal. And these people are enjoying. Why would you think the president would be happy with that audit report?
No, he will not.
Because he is only responsible.
Yeah, because since from 2017, the office of the president, they earned the reputation of being the most indicted institution by the report of the National Audit Office.
Thank you.
So no wonder, the Auditor General, the former one, Karamba at Kirfatu, what Adam J told him in essence is Sangur Vijayna legi, because you put a lot of pressure on me. So it's good.
Everything, yeah. It becomes something from there. And remember, not this same president decided to say that, because of an audit report, I'm taking the councils to commission. And in fact, took that commission and screw it all with sympathizers of his party. And Gambians are trying to justify that. Oh yes, we are not against commissions, but we know the history of commissions in the Gambia. What's the point of having a commission? And again, they are talking about this corruption bill. What's a corruption bill going to do? We have enough laws to prosecute anybody that steals our money. But the president, again, because of that, Dr. Banja is really silly. He's taking Dr. Banja, or because of we prosecuted Dr. Banja. No, they only prosecuted Dr. Banja because Dr. Banja stupidly did not use the strategy. He said, if I'm going to go down, we all go down.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Banja know enough. But he was stupid to take a reassurance from people. I tell you that, it's a fact. They reassure him that he's going to be sacrificed. And he got sacrificed. James Fulmus Gomez would have gone down. President Barrow would have gone down. There are many deals Dr. Banja is privy to. But Dr. Banja, sorry to say, he was foolish. Yeah, you committed a crime, but why not just for the national interest? Expose the crime then, if you're going to go down for it. If you're going to go down for it, it's a bribery. That's not only the case, but there are so many other briberies going on within the ministry. Go and look at the Mulligan report again.
Yeah.
You see how they constructed the bribery, how many cases they negotiated instead of taking to the trials, and what amount was asked for during the negotiation against the crime that had been committed. Now they depleted our marine resources. And that person goes for down for $50,000. Or is it $500,000, $50,000? Man, this is the problem. This is the reason the president will always, fight against the National Office, because he is absolutely corrupt. Fish will start to rot from the head.
Yes, and this confirms that most of the corruption, the large scale corruption that are happening in the country, emanated from the office of the president. As always. So no wonder anybody that's going to make Barrow accountable for that, he will not be happy with that. But how these people they lack sympathy. They don't care about Gambians, because ordinary Gambians are dying. Preventable diseases. Basic machines are there. If they are there, nearly 90% of Gambians cannot afford it, because it's too expensive. The only alternative is, for people to cross border and go to Senegal. But how many people, problems are all littered in Facebooks, in social medias, and all those things, because they want basic care. The privacies are not there, and people are dying. Things are so expensive in the Gambia.
Ebrima, let me say something.
Go ahead.
Ebrima, let me say something here. The sad thing is, we have good people in that system, but they don't have the good leadership. I give you an account of something that happened a couple of weeks ago. By luck, my nephew had a very serious issue with his stomach, until the pain to the point of, going unconscious. He was rushed to Neman Clinic, and from Neman Clinic he was rushed to RVH. Edward Francis Small Hospital. God happened that day, the whatever thing they used to scan him was working. He was scanned. Within 12 hours, he was operated on. Now he have recovered. Within 4 days, he was released. Do you know when that happened? And I said, just look at it. We have the people in there. If they're given the support required, we will not need evacuations. But in most cases, why would they fail? Because they don't have the required equipments. Why they don't fail? Because of the equipments are there but not working. The reason they fail, they were operating and now it went off. The reason they fail, because of there's an infection going on and they don't have the materials to cure that infection. But it is a record. I don't want to discuss his medical condition, but what I knew what happens to him, even in the UK here, probably he would have spent a week in hospital. But within a week, he was dealt with and discharged. But Ebrima, again, it wasn't cheap. Everything had to be paid for. It's cheap for us who can afford it. The reason I said it's not cheap, if that happened to someone who did not have someone in the diaspora, or did not have someone in the Gambia that is earning or running a business successfully, it's not cheap to an average Gambian, because every other thing that he needs have to be paid for. But it would be completely dishonesty not to raise this point that we have good staff in the hospitals, doctors. The systems would even work if we have this right leadership. If we had ministers that care, we have directors that care, we have people that put the money where it is, but not. Look at the COVID funds. Do you know? Look at the audit report and the COVID fund. You think that Dr. Samate took that money alone?
No,
because of Barrow got his kickback. That's what we have to think about. Why would Barrow protect anybody?
It's important, and we have to acknowledge the good people in that country. Most of the time, if you have poor leadership. The poor leadership will dwarf your giants.
Yeah.
And and if you have a good leadership, your dwarf will be giant. So and
Do, do you know why?
that's so important.
Do you know why I give an example? I had a friend who went to a private. There's a private this thing somewhere. They go to do scanning or stuff like that. The friend went to do the scan. It was not like an urgent case. He found two women there. The one was co-wife. Brought the co-wife for scanning, and they charged about $4,000. These people have about 1,000. My friend was having 5,000 only on herself. She decided to take the 5,000 and pass it on to those people so that they can have the scan and have 2,000 left to go and deal with the rest. Then she had to settle another week to do her scanning because it wasn't urgent. It's just to check something. But if she did not have given that money, how would that woman be treated? Because without the scanning, the doctors weren't able to do it. And this scanning, why do they have to go private for the scanning if we had the machines in the public sector? No, I give you another case. The time I was in the Gambia, I met a family that came way from the provinces because they had an accident and the lady needed a skin graft. How was the amount, the work been done on the lady? You can tell the professionalism from these doctors. It was this thing they took part apart. The skin graft, I'm telling you, bro, they took flesh from one part of the body and put it where it was needed more. And it was healing, something like that. But the amount of support, because you have to pay for a lot of medications and other things, and to be transported and everything else. It's so expensive. But most of this thing could have been dealt with if the system were, run better. You see, again, I am doing this just to show how much we are suffering when we don't need to suffer after everything that we have contributed in that country, we didn't need to suffer. But look at the transformation in the people that serve government or people that support government. Ebrima, go and look at the vehicles. Go and look at the properties. Go and look at the lifestyle they have.
Less than 10 years. Less than 10 years.
Look. I was in Senegal. I went to resorts in Senegal. But the amount of government workers I found in those resorts are far more than diasporans or business people. And most of these people, I can tell you, if they earn $10,000, that'll be too much. Senegal is just like a heaven for them now. You go to not many places. They will even ask you, "Oh, do you need this guy? He stays at our hotel." Or do you need, African thing? We may identify as Gambian. They start to ask you, "Oh, you know this person, you know that person." But that's how our money is being spent.
And then sometimes they go with girlfriends there. Most of the time,
boyfriends now. Even boyfriends now.
Women and all those things, or boyfriends and all. And Brother Ben, but and one thing that came that's really, really outstanding, I hope is true. It become reality. That is, we Barrow claim we're going to be food self-sufficiency in 2 years' time.
It's a lie.
Even the lame Malik John has to intervene and said we had this many times but he didn't take it up from there. But one thing that stands out, Mohammed Jah's name came out, with the Koreans. But another businessman also from Senegal, when Senegal is no food sufficiency, but Mohammed Jah's name, of recent, Mohammed Jah's name start cropping up. We know it's been in the background, and he's trying to kind of germinate himself, from the shadow at the beginning he was, and when we come to the President Barrow's dynasty versus the Ahmed Gite thing, and the CDC says Mohammed Jah's name came out, but now, if Mohammed Jah and all those things going to kind of make our soil softer and grow rice, that will enable the Gambia to be food sufficiency within 2 years. What do you think, Ben? What do you think?
First, what I have to say is a good thing that Mohammed Jah is putting his investments in agriculture. I
Mhm.
welcome every Gambian if they can. These are areas that we need investments because one that investment is successful, this is what is going to stabilize our country. We need food security in order to be stable. We need food security in order to be a healthy nation. Without food security, we cannot be a healthy nation. We can build so many hospitals, but without the right nutrition and so on, we will not be. But again, this is the problem. Even the IMF used to have that problem. And that's why Malik Jones said it. Is when presidents are so optimistic because a businessman said something, or an investor said something, or people, technocrats come and just said something to you. If you look at the um, cycles of or what you need to do in order to have that sufficiency, it cannot be done in 2 years. I'm not an
No.
agriculturist, but certain things need common sense to evaluate. The amount of area that you need to cultivate and prepare to cultivate, and the amount of trials and samples you need to do. There's no country, as small or big, have attained some of these things within a short period. It's a long-term process. If they have breaking it down, some of the times investors will come and tell you things in a way so that they can easily have access and this thing. If they have breaking down that this is and give you figures, a data, that this is what we have, this is the variety of rice we have, this does this, and within 6 months, 1 year, this is what, and so on and so on, I would have agreed. But to bluntly say within 2 years, there'll be a problem. Because there's a lot of problems in our agriculture.
Mhm.
Investment is one part of it. But again, if you mobilize the manpower, you cannot just take the manpower and let them live in tents. There's mobilization of manpower. There are a lot of other factors that will come in. Climate change is a reality. All these things needed to be factored in. And I'm not thinking that they are taken from expert point of view, but they are taken from investor point of view. But one thing I
Yeah,
am happy about is that someone who have the resources is diversified and investing in agriculture. Little improvements that we have from him and other people will come collectively as as something that will help to secure that. But for Barrow to say these things, it's just a pipe dream that will say it, and Janneh have said, and others have said. And the problem with agriculture is huge. And secondly, is that the person, in fact, in charge of agriculture, and most people in charge of sectors in agriculture, they don't know what to do. They are
they don't
clueless.
know.
They are corrupt. They don't have integrity. The system itself is rotten. Until you get into it, some of these things you don't know. During my travel I went to the provinces. When I went to the provinces, I didn't go to visit family. Yes, it was part of it, but mainly is to explore. I have videos. I'll share these videos. I've looked to different areas. I've talked to stakeholders. It was sad. I went to Difonia and went to many areas. I have not seen a groundnut circle
No,
active.
no, it's not
Never.
there anymore. Yeah.
Do you know what happened? I asked them.
Mm.
Oh, we
Mm.
sold it in the farms. They came and bought it. Senegalese merchants came and bought it. There's nothing that went to the suckers. That will affect agriculture itself. It's interdependent. The cash and you see, cash crop and consumer food crops are interdependent. You need both. You need both. You see, and the other thing is there are so many positives. I went to many places. The alcalos. I can tell almost all the alcalos I meet, I am older than them.
Mhm,
Some of the
mhm,
chief,
mhm.
I'm older than them.
Yeah.
That's for me, that's progressive. These people are educated people, minimum secondary school level, but they are close up. You see, we can transform the country because it's a youthful country. This is what I'm trying to express. I went to a place, villages I know, and I see people, they said, oh, I cannot remember you. I said, oh, because I last came here in 1982. They said, oh, I was born in 75. I was
Mm.
born in 78. And he's Alcalo. And they are forward looking. Do you know other things I found? I found Gambians. There's this guy, Mr. Guy, I found in Bondali, and people like him. These people are graduates in development in other sectors. Do you know he went and lived in they are living in the villages now because they believe that they have to live there in order. You see, bro, the people are not generally the problem. We have
Mhm.
had the failure of leadership. I have gone to villages that women gardeners are doing as much as possible, but even to get the water or the fence their gardens or the fertilizer, I mean, there are a lot of things that they lack. Look, if we only produce rice, it's not going to satisfy us.
No,
Yes,
no,
it's
no,
going to be one
no.
thing, but we need other things produced. We need cows, we need maize, we need horticulture, we need animal husbandry, we need poultry. It needs investment, it needs management, not investment alone. It needs a policy driven. This is what we need. We need the workers. You know, another thing is, I went to village. You know, I'm in the Fonyi. I don't want to pick on this village proper. I went to the village in Fonyi. When we first entered, I had people speaking Wolof. I turned around. Do you know why?
Mhm.
I grew up, I've been in that village many times, wrestling and did other thing. I have never had a wall of this in there. Because of why a lot of people have come out from Senegal to settle
Mhm.
in the village. Tells you that there's something we have. And these people are coming to settle to work the land. But end of the day, tells you that if our own people are running from the villages, other people coming, there's something that we lack in those villages to keep people there. You see, these are all things that we need. This rural urban migration have to be controlled. That's why too we need to look at the curriculum we have in our schools. We need to train farmers when they are youths, when they are active in school. Let them believe in agriculture. These are things that will transform. The agriculture policy is not only to have an investor come, I'll do rice, I'll do this. We have seen Jahali Pachar, who could have delivered that dream. It failed because there are other factors that needed to be taken out. Yes, a private partnership might work or a private sector injection might work. But
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
I have reservations anyway. I have reservations, but we hope that would have, once we have the food security, I think that that would be an achievement.
Yeah, Brother Ben, we all have reservations, but we hope this works. As you said, it's good. Our affluent people like Mohammed Jan, all those things can invest in agriculture, not only rice production but other things, and
Mhm.
educate younger people and make farming attractive to them. Because currently we are always shouting about farming and farming. The lands are getting more and more scarce. But the land and the farming is not very attractive to younger people, and the mindset and all those things. As you said, the educational curriculum need to change and make these things, very, very attractive to our kids, so that this mass migration through back door can be kind of slowed, so that our people can stay in our country. But finally, Brother Ben, we've been here for nearly
Yeah.
2 hours, and I don't want to go any further anyway. But you asked one question. You said, can the Barrow dynasty, afford, you know, the consequence of ignoring or abandoning Ahmed Jite? Can they afford it? And why did you ask, or why is Jite so important to the extent that Barrow's establishment and the dynasty, will even hesitate to jettison him out of their party, and as it happens today? What are the consequences, if there is
Okay,
any?
these are the consequences. If you realize why GTA is at odds with the NPP right now, it's because of he offended the dynasty, which is the head of the dynasty, which is the wife of the president, and he offended the president. Because if you attack the wife of a president or anybody, you are attacking the person himself. If you attack the husband of any person, you are attacking that person, and this is the result. But again, people will ask, why did GTA do that? GTA explained that during the course of the campaign, that that's when he was insulted in November. That the first lady said, "Why did you hold the mic for my co-wife?" and stuff like that, and call him names and hypocrite and everything like that. That's what the version of GTA is. We have to be very careful. I'm not saying that did not happen, but why did GTA tolerate that during the campaign until after the campaign when government positions were given and he decided to come and voice that out? Because GTA was not pleased that he was not given anything. You see, I spoke to some of these aspiring politicians. I said, one thing you have to be very careful of: don't cross the red line for any politician. When you cross a red line, the politicians, you become redundant. The politicians believe that without them, you will not be. You have already crossed the red line. Now you will be useless. You cannot go back to any other force that can equally threaten them. That's what they think. And the way you behave towards their opponent, they would think that you behave the same way towards them when the table turns. That's why I look at it. All the people that have done similar things, Barrow have abandoned them. People are seeing it as a Mandinka thing. It happened that those people are Mandinkas. It's about a UDP thing. That's why I say, I'm not saying they are not Mandinkas. I mean, I understand why some people have the sentiments, oh, he's fighting Mandinkas. No. I think it's because it's a UDP thing. It has come to Barrow that these people can be so much disloyal to Ousainou Darboe. These people can be so ruthless against Ousainou Darboe because some of these people, I know they were very close to Ousainou, not UDP alone, they were close to Ousainou Darboe. I think Ousainou Darboe said one of them is a nephew. Jatta. And Siaka Jatta came on campaign trail to insult him. Or sorry, to laugh or to be present where he's insulted or something like that.
Yeah, Fatoumata Jawara insulted, and he was there. He was the MC then.
Or something like that. Yeah. You see, and because of, again, politicians, it's just like a military coup. People that goes with you, you have to abandon them instead to make yourself. People like GT keep on saying that we made the UDP, we made NPP, we are the NPP. They don't. A leader doesn't like that.
No.
A dictator, because what they want is they make their party, they own their party. And what happened is they will start to shred them off. That's why these people who go out to champion, shredding them off. But Barrow is doing a mistake. Now, what Barrow got left is the APRC. Now he has been completely hijacked away from Gambians, away from the UDP, against from people that left the UDP for him, now taken over by completely his APRC enablers. For him, because of he perceived that he have power, he did not see the taking over. And check this. Apart from APRC enabler, anybody you see now been appointed is related to Barrow or directly affiliated to Barrow. You see, then this will bring the CDCC case. You see, CDCC is a Bandinka. It's not dropping GTA for a Fuller or GTA for a Jola or this thing, but for another Bandinka. But you have to understand why. Because he believed that he is making CDCC. He believed that he is making Bakari Baji. And look at the other candidates that they have. Have you seen any prominent UDP from UDP among the candidates?
No. They all now sent for foreign duties and all those things.
Yeah. Go and look at the councillors. Go and look at the chairpersons. Do you see anyone with a prominent political thing? No, he wants to make sure that he made them. Remember, Yahya Jammeh did the same strategy. He used the PPP, he used the NCP, he used the people from prominent families. But what he ended up did is he made people from unknown backgrounds to worship him and to make his APRC. APRC at the beginning was having the most of intellectual, most of political savvy people. You have Mr. Saad from PPP, K Saad from Lamin. You have
Ike
Saad from Lamin. You have the Fode Makalos. You have the Buba Baldes. Let's go on. But what did it end up having? Bakso as executive secretary. Koli.
The Rambo Jatas and all those
I mean, look at it. All these people he made. In order to be more comfortable, have control. But for Barrow mistake is he's underestimating the APRC that is helping them to neutralize. Because for him to neutralize the APRC, it will be impossible. Because he did not come, he completely abandoned the platform he came from. Now, for GT, and look at this. GT said, I did not hear it, but I have seen somewhere GT said he's still NPP.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Do you know why?
That's what he said. Go ahead.
GT is still not confident of himself. GT is not confident of winning. He's thinking that I am making a case. And GT this time around, look at the people he accused. He accused the messengers. GT know for certain that this thing would not have happened without the blessing of Fatmata Barrow and Barrow.
Yeah.
GT knows for a certain that CDCC have connections and contacts with the almost powerful Barrow and Fatmata Barrow. Now, GT did not go for them. Who did it go for? The messengers.
The messengers, the ministers around there.
Yeah, because
the so-called elders. Yeah.
For now, either he's hedging his bets. If I lose, I might get back to where I'm from. That's naive. If you are fighting, have courage and go it all out. If anyone smart and looked at you would say that, why am I bothered? He doesn't have the courage. And if he wins, is he going back to NPP? To anchor himself? Then what? I mean, that's what he's doing. Now, but if he loses and did not have anything substantial from NPP, because what he is scared of staying as an individual. Because if he loses badly, he becomes completely irrelevant politically. Yeah. Now, does he have any other voice? If he doesn't go and pursue his profession, go and pursue something else, he'll be, the thing that why it's relevant is not because of he's a mathematician. It's not because of whatever person he is. It's because of he was a supporter of Yahya Jammeh, APRC, because of he became a supporter of PPP. It's because of he turned out to be a cheerleader for the UDP and came out to be a cheerleader for the president. This is why people know him from cheerleading the Yahya Jammeh to now. Now, if he lose an elections badly, he becomes completely irrelevant. Now, if NPP, and he thinks NPP then will want him, if the people don't want you now, or settle for, okay, we don't want you here, can you take this? Why he's not offered a ministerial position? Why he's not offered somewhere lucrative for him to this thing? They don't want him. Now, the point now is, did GT know any secrets for NPP? That's where I said whether they can take the risk. He might not know secrets, but he might have of certain things and he can weaponize it. And that might damage short term, medium term, or long term. This is something we don't know. That's why I put the question to ask, can they afford to this thing? And that's for the history to tell us. But for now, GT have shown weakness by still associating. All the people bold enough I know. And I tell Gambians, if Gambians don't know the history of Gambia, independents have been winning elections, protest votes. Buba Balde win elections in Basse, protest votes against PPP before end of prosecuting PPP. Lamin Juala win elections in Yamina, protests because of he was not selected. I can go on and go on. Independents do win elections. But can GT win these elections? I'm very doubtful. Very doubtful.
Yeah, brother, when we have to stop it there, and because we've been here for long. Sorry to take over your time. Is always, when
I
you
am
come,
available tomorrow if you are.
yes, yeah, we will see what we can do.
Yes, see what
We're
you can
not
do.
sure whether Ramadan will be tomorrow or not. Sometimes, if we can
Yeah.
adjust the time, we will be here so that we can discuss issues. Because as we always say, because we want to talk about Barrow APRC and entrenchment programs, and many other things. But we have to stop it here. And greetings to our listeners for their patience, and hope we learn a lot from this, so that we can empower ourselves, we can educate ourselves, so that we can make a decision makers and see the larger picture than our individual small interests, because that's not going to take us anywhere. We have to, as I always said, we have to develop as a people. Then we will be independent. We will enjoy the beautiful country that we left behind. And we will have the freedom, to do, to grow, anyhow we want in our own space, and our women will stop dying unnecessarily. The babies, the GoFundMe, to look for fun, to kill people, and the road accident that is almost everywhere in the Gambia now. And once people got those accidents, they died, or they become so disabled to the extent that they become dependent on their people, and that aggravate also poverty level. And we can go on and on, because we need to be biased. We need to agree with our consent that the truth is this. This is the truth, not because Mr. X, or not because my brother, not because my tribe, not because this president I support for the sake of supporting when it's not delivering for the people. So those are some of the bias that we need to get, slough ourselves from. Those are straight jackets that are hindering us from progressing. If we take them off and see the larger picture, that even if the president is your brother, if the president is your father, but he's not running the country how it should be run, you come and say you are not running these things properly. You should have done it this way. And if we're not listening, what we need to do is, vote against that individual, and give it to somebody. Maybe along the way, one or two, three, four, five, along the way, we will get it right for the benefit of everybody in that country. Because what is happening in the Gambia, the corruption, the inflation, all the things, the compendium of all the negative things that are happening there are affecting us wherever you are. It doesn't matter if you are in paradise, your people are in hell. So wherever you go, those negative things are going to pursue you. For that being the case, we cannot get those things right without getting the leadership right. People are saying sometimes people's attitude and all those things. That's why we have presidents there to correct the ills of the society. So the box has to stop with the president. Once again, greetings to all of you, and greetings and respect to our boss and technical background, who is at the technical background, patiently directing everything. Greetings to you, and I wish you all the best with your fastings, the Ramadans, and all those things. The Konates and Sillas are afraid, because Ramadan is just at the door now. Greetings to you, and good night to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Selfie, chamano, movie na la mobile, da 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 natalo, they do na mobile, selfie, chamano, movie na la mobile, da 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 natalo, they do na mobile, yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, movie na la mobile, yeah yeah, we yeah yeah, they do na mobile. Mobile, Natalo, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, moving da 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 Natalo, they do in a mobile, selfie, Jaman, moving a mobile, da 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 Natalo, they do in a mobile, yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, moving a mobile, yeah yeah, we yeah yeah, they do in a mobile, yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, moving a mobile, yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, they do in a mobile, don't compare, don't cananya, don't compare, don't canada. Mobile, mobile, Natalo, Natalo, mobile, mobile, Natalo, Natalo, mobile, mobile, Natalo, 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 mobile, Natalo. What I say? Yeah, yeah, oh